Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Bryan. We're going to continue on today with a comment request. Something caught my eye in the comments for some video, I don't even remember what it was, and I was like, alright, I gotta see what's going on here. I got a request from Denver Coder, said, yo, all the reaction people are sleeping on Cave Sermon's Divine Laughter. Came out February 1st of this year. Crystallized and Liquid Gold are amazing. There are literally zero reactions. You could be the first. You know what? I like the sound of that. I'm a huge fan of giving smaller groups a bit of spotlight. I don't have a massive community, but even if I just get a few more eyes on the band, I'm happy with that. This, as mentioned, came out this year, just a couple weeks ago. And I had not heard of this, I don't think. You know, we get a lot of albums posted in the new music channel on Discord, so it's possible I just glossed over it. But the name isn't ringing a bell. I did check between those two songs, and Liquid Gold is not only the more popular of the two, but the most popular track on the album as per Spotify Listen, so I figure that's what we're going to go with today. Let's dive in. See what Cave Sermon is bringing to the channel today. Yeah, it just dawned on me, I don't even know what kind of music we're in store for. We have tremolo playing of some sort. It kind of feels like strings, which violin does have tremolo bowing. But there's an electricness to it too, so maybe it's a guitar. Some really beautiful classical chord progressions, semi-classical. Nice harmonic palette regardless. Okay. Dude. The drums are brutal. Those bass kicks are just massive. Just tossing in that distortion on the high-pitched guitar here. Yeah, it's a very slow 4. I probably conduct this in 3, but I feel it in 4. triplets into 3? Oh, that's crafty. Yeah. Subdividing the 3 beats into 3 beats each. Ooh, no, we're not. Is that a 7-bar phrase? There's that 4 coming back strong here. Yeah, the 3 isn't represented as strongly in this section. There's the 3 though. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah. A lot of really cool moments of showcasing the 3 or the 4 and sort of bouncing between it. What is going on in the background here? Nice waltz idea. Boom, bum, 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 bum. Triple it, triple it, triple it, triple it, triple it. 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So yeah, we have a 3 focus in a 4/4 bar. A little simple work. Right here, listen. Oh, must be at the end of the full phrase. Quasi-Phrygian on that right guitar. There's a lot of stuff. So many layers here. So the song was about, what was that, like 7:30? And we have a 70-second outro. I guess I should rephrase that. The music. Hey, 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 hey. I did not say we can go to the next one. The music is like 7:30. And then the song has an outro of 70 seconds, give or take. Yeah, I gotta check this out. This is not on my list. I mean, it is now, but this was not on my list. I'm. It's an EP. I think there's only like 6 tracks on it. But if it's more like this, yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out. I keep getting thrown though. The composer and lyricist listed on the credits section is Charlie Park, and Charlie Parker is a jazz musician. And I keep seeing that. I'm like, real? Oh, wait, no. All right, so to start off, dude, the drums is like the first thing we hear, and it's just it's just massive sound, right? Humongous for a bass kick, and it actually has a lot of brighter, higher end sounds to it as far as the EQ is concerned. It's not just the low end bassiness. There's some of the higher part to it too that gives it a really unique characteristic. But then it's expanded. I don't know how they do that. My first thought's reverb, but it's not really a reverb. It's just very present. It is a massive, like to me, you just have to get a bigger bass drum. I don't know how big bass drums are for drum kits. I know that classical bass drums are like twice the size, maybe 2.5 times the size of one that you'd put in a drum kit, but I don't know like the exact size of them, inches. Which kind of makes me question. When we say like it's a 14-inch drum, is that circumference or radius? Or diameter? I don't know because I don't know what a standard one is. Like I could probably make a guess if I knew like a standard snare was X amount of inches, but I don't. I gotta look that up later. But anyways, yeah, we measure drums by some sort of distance of the drum head itself. And like my gut tells me that this is just a bigger bass drum than a traditional metal drummer would utilize in their kit. It just sounds massive, and maybe it's just production magic. I mean, I'm still learning production. My engineering is getting better every day, but I don't know how you would go about doing this in software with keeping it sounding the way it does. It's just massive. It is a humongous sound. At first, I thought it was Tom's. I really did. But no, it's the freaking bass drum, man. It is just, and that was when I knew I was in for a good time. Like even if I didn't like the music, which the music is a bit heavy for me in parts, I like the composition of it. Sonically, it's not what I'd usually listen to, but right from the start, like these guys have vision, they have passion, they have direction, they're doing something a little bit different, and that excites me. There's also some really cool melodic ideas coming from the drums right there, right from the start. And so like the drums brought attention to me sonically, like listen to how big my drum kit is. And then they're like, also I do some cool things, not just basic patterns all the time. And I'm like, okay, I'm here for this. If everything else bounces off of me, the drum work, I'm already sold on. I don't think the drummer could do anything wrong. And they consistently didn't. Almost everything the drummer introduced to the table, I was a big fan of. Even the simpler ideas that kind of fit more into being a metronome, a functional rhythm concept, tended to have some sort of ornamentation going on, something to spice things up a little bit. But frequently, the drummer also did some really nice melodic ideas, things that kept a beat but weren't, like a static loop. And I always thought that was cool. And the cymbals too, like they cut through as far as mixing goes. But I think it's interesting that the cymbals don't feel as big as the drums. They didn't give them the boost, which makes me think that it's acoustic too. I don't know how to make a bigger cymbal sound. They're all going to be kind of shimmery and narrow. Just kind of that's how the instrument is. So I don't know. You guys got any information on that? Let me know. I'm curious. Was the drum sound done in post or just got a massive bass drum under his kit? So yeah, that caught my mind immediately. Then we have the meter, the time, all of this metric stuff. The song is frequently fluctuating between groupings of four and groupings of three, sometimes doing both simultaneously and other times intertwining them. There are certainly some sections that lean more heavily into some or into one or the other. There's that moment around 4 minutes in, I'm like, this is three. It's almost impossible to count out a 4 beat phrase in here. Just nothing supports four. Um, and then other times where it's very clearly in four and there's just no three or triplet pulse or anything like that. But a good majority of this track just morphs between one and another, so seemingly getting both at some times, coming out the other side, prioritizing one, morphing back into both. It's just gorgeous. Like I just love listening to the rhythms in here and the ways that they overlap. The cool thing about three against four or three against two is that they're not the same. One's odd and one's even. Like two and four, you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So one and three are going to be what your two end up emphasizing. But when you break it up into three, you lose that symmetry. So some of your beats are going to be on parts of the bar that your four doesn't accent. And that creates polyrhythms. And I love polyrhythms. And this song just delivers pretty much moment to moment. There's something cool going on as far as that. And I love how the four is pretty consistent throughout as like a baseline idea. The three comes in and it comes in all over the place. Sometimes it's on the cymbal, sometimes it's on the bass, sometimes it's on the guitar, sometimes it's on the bass kick primarily. It's you never know where the three is going to come from, and I think that's fascinating because it feels like the band playing hot potato with the who's doing the polyrhythmic idea. And I find that to be fascinating. But even beyond that, it just sounds good. There's a sonic quality to it that tickles my brain in a way that just I really enjoy what's going on here. Now, aside from those two ideas, a lot of this track is heavy. We got the bass guitar, we got the electric guitars. I think there's two. And we got growls. And all of this is just playing metal. A lot of it feels sort of doomier to me. We do speed up a little bit in some sections, especially ones that focus on the triplet, which tends to be quite a bit faster than the four, primarily because I don't think they change. Yeah, they don't change the length of the note. They just change the grouping of the note. So it makes things feel. Oh, actually, I have that backwards. The fours are slower than the threes. So yeah, we would be looking at probably three quarter notes against half notes. So there is a differentiation there. Anyways, what I'm getting at is that the fours tend to be a bit slower. 1, 2, 3, 4. Triple it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. And so the three ends up feeling faster. Bup, 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 bup. And the four feels slower. And the sections that prioritize the four tend to feel very doomy, especially with the heavy distortion on the guitar, the massive sound overall, the growling. But I appreciate how the song isn't always doom metal. We pick up the pace, not necessarily. I don't think tempo wise, you could probably make an argument for it. And if you decided to transpose this to sheet music and change the tempo midway, I don't think it'd be that big of an issue because a lot of the times the speed is doubled or halved perfectly. But usually when that happens, we just we make the notes go by faster. If we were writing half notes and quarter notes, now I write quarter notes and eighth notes. But yeah, so the song does speed up though. Even the slower part, the four, picks up pace. And this back and forth, this ebb and sway, ebb and flow. What is that phrase? I think it's ebb and flow of the song. It's constantly in flux, but it's in flux in ways that make sense. It's not like we drastically grind down to a halt and then speed, speed metal the next or something like that. There's a nice rhyme, a nice reason for why things happen. Everything feels like it naturally progresses into the next idea, and I appreciate that in all music. But certainly in here, and the ideas move through quite fast, which is something that I ran into an issue with during Doom Metal Week, and especially when we checked out a couple of Funeral Doom tracks. I don't know if we've had a Funeral Doom week or not, but we have checked out some Funeral Doom songs, and they can move really slow, not just tempo wise, but pacing, the amount of time we stay in a section. But this I felt was paced rather nicely. Ideas came and went at a decent speed. Never really stuck around with anything that I felt was too long or overstayed its welcome. It feels like doom metal for me in particular. It shores up some of the issues I have with the composition and pacing of doom songs without really giving up the weight and atmosphere that doom tends to focus on. I think the last thing I want to focus on then is melody writing. There's honestly not a lot of it in here. A lot of it is textural, like the vocal growls, the distortion on the guitars, or it's atmospheric, the chords that are played, the tremolo picked sections that kind of give us the general feeling of an emotion, but we don't really get the attacks of the instrument. It's just you feel this sometimes chord progression, sometimes melody, moving and shifting into the next notes or next chords without really hearing that cha, the striking of the pick against the strings. But those usually do a great job of providing an atmospheric element, an emotional element. But there are a few areas of melody where an instrument plays a series of single notes in a pattern of shifting rhythm and pitch. I think these sections are interesting. One, I'm glad they're there because an entirely atmospheric song tends to bounce off of me unless I'm in the mood for it. Because what they're presenting is an emotion. If I'm not in that emotional headspace, it's really not going to work for me. Or if I, don't want to be in that headspace, because sometimes we get music to pump us up. You're not in the headspace, but you want to get pumped up, so you put on music that pumps you up, right? So sometimes you want to get to a place, but doom metal isn't usually something I want to get in the mood for. It's like, man, I'm feeling too bright and happy right now. So the melody, though, helps me engage with the song on a non-emotional level. I can feel a story being told through that pairs well with the story being told through the structure of the song. As I mentioned, the ebb and flow between our sections, the ways that things speed up and slow down, some of the atmospheric textures like dissonance versus consonance, those things. But the melody gives me something moment to moment to lean into and explore, sort of like sentences within a chapter. And the chapter can be more than just the sentences. That metaphor fell apart quickly. But they are simple melodies for the most part. And so they end up, to my mind, feeling very functional. Maybe they wanted to put something else there, and maybe they tried something atmospheric and it didn't quite work, so they threw in a little melody. There wasn't anything in here that I was like, oh, dang, that's memorable, or that absolutely tells me a concise little tale or something like, like a guitar solo would. No, none of that. It sort of borders on the line of atmospheric and melody, sitting in the middle. But I do appreciate that they were there as something to deviate away from and provide contrast to the purely atmospheric sections. I'm going to hit some lyrics on this, see what's going on, and then we're going to wrap this video up. Alright. So I remember there being more than 12 lines of, sorry, 11 lines of lyrics, but I don't know, maybe they were repeated often. Some of the sections were pretty slow though, so maybe we just got through a line at a very slow pace. It is about somebody who is being torn apart from within by something that is in it's not innate. It is innate to them. I'm trying to figure out where the metaphor lies. The surface is having some sort of demon within your body that's taking it over and eventually rips itself from you, leaving you to die, or leaving the narrator to die. Um, but I think it's more about just something within you that you can't control, some sort of, I don't know. I mean, it could be anything negative, like, addiction. This would probably be a pretty good metaphor for that. Um, it starts off and it hits me with a word that I had to go look up. It says, born of this capeta. Now, at first, all I could find was that it's an anime about racing. I think it was. I don't know. I didn't look too closely because I was trying to figure out what it meant in this context. But it really surprised me that was like the first 3 pages of web searching. But I did find a Brazilian word, capeta, means the devil or Satan or some sort of devil less capital D, some sort of evil entity. It says, born of this capeta, I cannot go on. I will not allow it to live within me, to let it spread and mutate into something unspeakable. Chemicals remain in the body forever. I feel every barb keeled over, lens glistening. Every thorn becomes a precious gemstone, a seed for the future. In the rapids of grief I am torn apart, my remains cascade down and scatter, flowing through the creeks and rivers until they are swallowed up by the ocean. I find that last line to be interesting. It seems almost like a throwaway. The story is about being torn apart by inner demons and eventually them winning out in the battle. But then it specifically mentions that what is left of his corporeal form goes through creeks and rivers, swallowed up by the ocean. And this really makes me think about it on a metaphorical level. If this isn't about a literal demon and literally being ripped apart, then it's about feeling torn, feeling like you don't have agency in your life due to vices. The idea of being swallowed up by the ocean, then, I think, is about perspective. These things can completely destroy my life, but it's also so small that if they win, it's just a speck, a small story most people won't know about in the vastness of everything. It draws allusions directly to the oceans, as big and as deep as they are, but it also makes me feel about everything about the larger picture. All the numbers of humans on this planet, all the life that exists here, all the life that exists outside of here, just how far reaching space is. I think in this context, it's actually a little bit of release. It is an allowance for whatever stress this causes to be let go of. It really isn't that big of a problem in the large scheme of things. And maybe just recognizing that helps this person calm down to take control over whatever spiral they might be going through at the moment and reassess the situation from a new perspective. That's how I see this. It says, in the rapids of grief I am torn apart. When everything looks the worst, I remind myself just how small of a problem this is. To me, there is positivity in that. I'm trying to remember if there's anything positive in the music, but I think it also would help to know where this stanza sits in the song. to know what surrounds it. I was trying to remember the ending too, but I don't remember too much positivity in that. I just remember it was different. But I think that's where my thoughts on this track are going to end. Yeah, those are my thoughts. Liquid Gold from Cave Sermon. What are yours? Did you enjoy it? Is there anything that stood out to you? Anything that I touched on that you'd like to expand upon, or maybe you want to correct me on? Give me your own perspectives or opinions on what the song is doing or saying. Also, is anyone going to be checking this album out? I know it's on my list now. I'm. Oh, it said December 1st for the album, but it looks like it released on Bandcamp at least on January 8th. Sorry, February 1st. And it looks like it released at least back in January. Regardless, it's a 2024 album that I think I need to check out. And I think there's going to be some others who are interested in this. Oh, it says black metal, death metal, doom, and post metal. Yeah, I can hear all of that. Also, they've been making music since at least 2021, which is pretty cool. Yeah, glad to have found out about these guys. Denver Coder, thank you for bringing them to my attention. Again, I don't know if this is going to be my jam, but I think it's going to be an album worthwhile getting through. So what I say, toss comments down there above comments in the description box. You'll find a link to Linktree. Takes you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. That wraps it up for this one. I'll be back tomorrow, though, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. UTC, as usual. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.